The date is March 25th, 2019. The time is 1 p.m. The location is the home of Georgia Syck in Pikeville, Kentucky. Today, we will hear her story of working at the Ford Willow Run B-24 bomber plant and at Oak Ridge, Tennessee during the war years. By preserving her story of working on the home front during World War II, our national narrative will be more complete, honest, colorful, and accurate. Primary documentation is vital to any story of that world conflict, and we appreciate her willingness to help fill in the gaps. This interview is being conducted by Claire Kitchen-Daw. This interview is being videotaped by Claire Kitchen-Daw. The observers present are Suzanne Gillum, Janet Smith, and Faye Kitchen. This interview is being conducted on behalf of the Oral History Project at the Yankee Air Museum in Belleville, Michigan. For the record, Georgia's full name is Georgia Pelfrey Syck. Georgia was born in Morgan County, Kentucky on November 26, 1922. She will be 97 this year. She was born at home with the help of a midwife. Her father was Thomas Henry Pelfrey, but everyone called him Joe. He farmed for all of their food and he did odd jobs. Both parents had gardens, and as many in Kentucky, he had worked for the Jim Hatcher Coal Company for a few years. Georgia's mother was Sarah Alice Hamilton, but was called Allie. She was very proud of her Hamilton family and had a garden which grew lots of food. Georgia said that they never went hungry because of the hard work of her parents. In order of their birth, Georgia had a sister, LaRue, who was 7 years older than she was. She had a brother, Archie, a brother, Clark. She was the next baby, and then Guthrie, who was 10 years younger than Georgia. And now, let's listen to Georgia tell her own story. And what was your community like in your early days?
Oh, it was very much alive with all the children. We had a wonderful growing up time there.
And is it near a river?
Yes.
What river is that?
Big Sandy.
The Big Sandy. All right. So the Big Sandy is also the location of this cut through.
Yes.
Were you always aware of, or are you aware of the importance of that cut through today? It's the second largest engineering project in the United States, or it's the largest in the United States, second only to the Panama Canal.
What was this?
This cut through of yours, this engineering cut through.
Yes.
The people here should be very, very proud of this.
They are. Dr. Hamley was the main person that was the originator of it.
Good. Well, and then growing up in this area, I'm sure you were also aware that this was where the Hatfield-McCoy feud took place.
Yes, we've always known that, but they opened it up a few years ago, and
yeah, it's a lot of tourism.
Working on it, but really it has become very, very famous to the area.
Absolutely. And there was also a small but important Civil War battle here, the Battle of Middle Creek, with Colonel James Garfield, who became President of the United States.
That was down around Prestonsburg.
Yeah, right. So
not
interesting.
Not very far away.
No, so you've got a lot of history in your small area here.
There's a lot of history here.
Yes, there is. Now, what about your family life in your house when you were growing up? Tell us about your house.
Oh, honey, we lived in a little, they called them box houses, in something like Loretta Lynn's house.
Okay. We were out there yesterday. A weatherboarded house, right?
Weatherboarded, that's what it would be.
Okay. And how many rooms?
We had 4 rooms and a small kitchen area built off the end of it with a porch, back porch, and a front porch, of course.
Did you have running water?
No, ma'am. Nobody had running water then except people that had quite a bit of money that could afford to drill their own wells and so on.
So how did you get your water?
It was drawn out of a well. We had an open well that you used a bucket to, and a
pulley system?
A pulley system, yes, that you drawed it up by the bucket full.
Well, that's hard work.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't hard? Okay.
Not then, it wasn't.
All right. And no indoor plumbing, of course.
No. Nobody had indoor plumbing except a few people that had plenty of money that could afford to. There was a few people had it, but up and down this valley, you could count them on your fingers.
How about cooking? How did your mother do the cooking and keep things warm or keep water hot?
We had a kitchen stove in the kitchen, that we used coal and wood in that. But it was also used for cooking and heating water and everything, keeping part of the house warm.
Right. And what is a reservoir in this?
It was on the back of the stove that you put water in, and when you had the stove going, it stayed hot enough to, you could use it. They also had a big tea kettle on the stove that had plenty of good water in it, though.
Good. Oh, well, that's great. How about laundry? What was involved in getting your laundry done during those days?
You had these wash tubs, they called them. They were galvanized tub. We had like a number 2 and a number 3 wash tub that Mom used, one to wash in, one to rinse in, and all. Of course, you hung your clothes on a clothesline. We didn't have clothes dryers then. Later, though, came the gas and then the electric.
And then did you also have pets? Did you have a dog or cats?
We had all kinds of animals we had something like a little mini farm there on Whittington's Branch, and we had cattle. Dad had about 3 cows, I think, and a couple of mules. We had chickens and hogs and everything you needed.
So you had a small farm, everything you needed, and your mom and dad gardened and gave you all the food you needed.
And my mother, she canned foods, and we helped her, of course.
Of course.
And of course, Dad, he always managed to have at least 2 hogs to kill in the fall, for which we had plenty of pork.
Good.
And chickens, we had plenty of chicken. So we didn't want for good food.
Isn't that great? That's a nice memory. It's a compliment to your parents too, that they were able to keep everybody going.
I guess that's why we all lived so long, as we had good food.
I think so too.
And we had pure water too.
All right. Well, there it is. Now, what about your education? Tell me how you went to school, or what kind of school you went.
We had a little one-room schoolhouse that it had from 1st to the 8th grade, and most of us got through the 8th grade in school, but that was a good education then.
That is.
It wasn't close to a high school, and you wasn't close to walking. We didn't have buses or anything then. So most of us had an 8th grade education.
Okay.
Even my family, my mother's family and my dad's, living out in the country in Morgan County, they were well educated at that time. That family was well educated.
Well, I think it sounds like you were all well educated. You certainly have.
No, my mother could have taught school if she'd have gone to state and taken the test.
Good.
In fact, she had one brother that was a school teacher.
Good. Now, Guthrie, your youngest brother, graduated from high school.
Yes, they got school buses that he was able to go to. I think he transferred from, I guess during World War II he was in grade school, but when he got into the 6th or 7th grade, evidently they didn't have too many teachers left. Everybody was doing other war stuff and so on and so forth. But he came to Pikeville through the 7th and 8th grade. In fact, he graduated from the 8th grade the year we all come home from service.
Really? That's great.
Bill I was married then.
Yeah.
Been married just a short time, and Bill and I, we were able to attend his graduation, and it was the 8th grade.
Well, that's nice.
But he went on through high school too.
Yeah. Now, what did you do after you left school in 8th grade? Did you get any jobs around?
Well, I stayed home for quite a while, but but I did have a job of babysitting. That's where I started. And of course, I went from there into house. I even did housework for these people after I got started babysitting because they found I could do about anything.
Well, good. Now, this was George and Edith Thornsberry, right?
Yes, they were my main people that I stayed with.
And then did he hire you for something else later on?
Yes, I worked for him in the dry cleaning for some time until the World War II started, and then I lived there and went into the world.
Good. Well, it sounds like this was an important family in your life. You worked for them, liked them.
They were a good family.
They were a good
yes.
family. Good.
His wife was Dr. Walters' daughter that lived up here above us now.
All right.
But I live on the Syck property. Mrs. Walters she was one of the Syck families, so they had part of the property here on Chloe.
Now, you were 19 years old when Pearl Harbor was attacked in 1941. What do you remember about hearing of that attack?
I just remember I was home. It was on a Sunday, but we was home. Of course, we'd all been out doing the normal things we did.
Having fun.
Just having fun. But we came home and my mother announced that she had heard it, of course, on the radio that we were declared in war.
And so then things started to change. Now, you had a family radio, a battery family radio, so we heard it. And then later you probably read in the newspapers about the speech and about everything else. How did life in your small community change after Pearl Harbor? What would you say was the biggest change in your lifestyle with your friends and relatives? Did people all immediately go into the service?
Most of the boys did.
Okay.
But Myrtle and I were one of the few girls that joined the workforce. And
well, we'll get to Myrtle in a second. But so the war was a major concern for everybody because all families had somebody in it.
Yes, it was the major concern.
Right. Now, what about your family? Did Archie go into the service?
Yes, he was drafted.
He was drafted, and then he did his basic training. And what did he do after his basic training?
Well, he came home, and of course, him and Myrtle got married while he was home. He was home about a week. All
right, so he was in the Army and suddenly drafted, basic training, and married. What about Clark?
Well, Clark was he was also drafted. He was in the service too. And Clark didn't get married till he was up in years. Okay, and Clark had a very storied career. He was in what unit? Do you remember? You mean Archie? I think it was Clark. Was he the one at Normandy? No, that was Archie. Oh, that was Archie. Yes, he was in the 82nd Airborne thing. He was in that Normandy. Yes. Thing. Right, and you had told me that he was in 7 invasions. He was in all of them. That's fantastic. But they landed them behind the lines early in the morning before daylight. Absolutely. And they were to hold the back lines till the Army came in, and then they pulled them out. Absolutely. Well, it was so important to get some information and some material into those areas before the troops. I'm sure you remember the history on Patton. Yes. That he took the Army and went in after. I remember seeing a thing. The movies, if you went to the movies, they showed a newsreel. That's about the only place you see me. But Patton led the Army in to rescue those boys. They were holed up in an old farmhouse, and their ammunition was running out. They must have had some kind of radio or something, but anyway, when Patton found out they were in trouble, I remember seeing him in a Jeep. Of course, he had a driver. He was on the outside. He was hailing on to. Good for him. But he went right in himself in front. And that's good, and that saved them all. Did your brother get any? Was he wounded or hurt ever during any of these? He seemed to have had a piece of shrapnel that hit him, sort of in the side of the face or the nose or somewhere there, which he had trouble with for a long time, but he finally got over it. Did he get a Purple Heart for that? Do you know? Not until he was much, much older.
Oh, but he did get one.
Yes.
They finally recognized
After
it.
He was in living just outside of Portsmouth. Archie was a carpenter. He worked for a construction company up in Ohio, just outside of Portsmouth.
And your sister LaRue went into the service too. She went into the Army.
Yes, she was. She went in when Watson was drafted. She also joined the service.
And what did she do?
She was in postal service.
Okay.
And she was attached to that 25th General Hospital group. She traveled with them.
So she went to Italy.
Yes.
So you should be very proud of the members in your family.
You know, I don't think I told you this before, but when they went into North Africa first.
Okay.
I mean, it was a tent hospital and all. I guess tent was, but the girls was with the nursing people, and but then when the Italian people got rid of Mussolini, I know you remember the story that they hung him on the.
Yes, they did. From the lamppost.
Yes, down on the seashore.
Mm-hmm.
And but after they got rid of him, he had built this hospital to take care of the Nazi people there in Italy, and he was going to take Italy for the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
But they all turned on him, I suppose. But anyway, I can't remember exactly, but after they got rid of him, though, they invited the Americans in. Italy didn't have an army.
Right.
And they invited the American people in, and they took over that. They let them take over that hospital. I think Bill said it was 1,000 beds.
Well,
hospital, big hospital.
At that point, we don't care who built the hospitals. If we can use the hospitals, that's what's important. Okay, then if you've got your siblings in the service, you've got LaRue, Archie, Clark. Guthrie is too little. He's not. So you've got your...
Guthrie was in the service during the Korean.
Yes, but that means all of you were involved. And what you didn't go into the actual service, but you went to Michigan, or you said you wanted to go into the defense work. What got you to leave your area to go up to Ohio to start your defense work?
Well, we had a cousin that lived in Picton, and she come home, and of course, I don't know if she was recruiting people or not, but she wanted. Her sister was May Lou Hamilton.
Okay.
And but me and Myrtle went home with her to Picton. We went to work in this shell plane up around Chillicothe.
And what were they making in that plant?
22 millimeter shells for the Navy.
Okay, so you worked for the Navy or you worked there in Picton, Ohio.
We weren't there very long.
Right.
But Maddie Lou also had a sister and her husband. And,
all right.
And then one of our other girls that grew up on Whittington's Ranch with us, she was a cousin of ours. Her and her husband was there. They had 3 kids. They lived in that village there then, but they insisted that we come on to Michigan. It was that they kind of thought we'd like it up there.
Well, and I think everybody likes Michigan, right?
But we finally took the bus and went to Michigan.
And that's when you went to Ypsilanti.
Yes.
Right. So you and Myrtle took the bus because Maddie Lou didn't go with you.
Yes, she went with us, but she only stayed about a month or so.
Okay.
I'd say. But one weekend she said she was coming home. Well, she did.
Yeah.
But she stopped in Ohio, going back and married this boy that she had met in Ohio.
We end up getting a lot of fast marriages during World War II. People come through for the weekend and get married. Well, I'm glad. So you left here. You went to Ohio, Picton, Ohio, to work with the 22 shell plant. And then you guys took the bus to Ypsilanti. Now, how did you hear about Willow Run?
Through this Maddie Lou's sister.
Okay, and everybody in Ypsilanti knew about Willow Run anyway, right? Yeah. Were you afraid of all this bus traveling you were doing?
No. You didn't have to be afraid then. It was safe to travel in.
How about your parents? Were they worried for you?
Yes, they were very supportive you know, because they didn't worry about us doing these things during World War II. I think everybody was just interested in trying to help
Absolutely.
further along.
The whole nation was a team, and here you were. You have siblings in the actual military services, and you're going to do your work in the factories.
We had all kinds of rationing then. I'm sure everybody
Yes.
knows about that.
Right. Which rationing do you think seemed to be the hardest for you to deal with? The sugar or the gas or the...
None of it.
None of it. You just were able to do it anyway.
We just did what we had to do.
And you didn't complain.
No.
Good
no,
for you.
we were happy to be doing what we were doing.
Absolutely.
We were doing
All right. Well, now, did you ask for a specific job at Willow Run, or did you take whatever they gave you?
They just assigned us where they needed us.
All right. And it was in Willow Run for the first time you met Eloise Preston.
Yes.
And this one thing, if I can just mention something, it's so fun. I did my first interview with Eloise Preston, so I'm finding that this is a wonderful thing to have everything come full circle, that I know all of Eloise's story, and now I'm getting the story of Eloise's roommate.
Well, then I hope you will get, of course, she's been gone about 10 years.
Yes.
But I'm sure you can get all you need from her daughters.
Well, it's just fabulous to now have not only known Eloise, and now I know Georgia. This is great. So tell us what it was like living with Eloise and Myrtle in the Willow Run dormitories. What was life like in the dorm?
It went smoothly. We had a nice big bathroom with plenty of wash basins and showers and all. Everybody shared the same.
That's great, like an old gym class, just
Yeah.
showers separated by curtains. But you
Yes.
had running water, it was warm and clean.
Yeah, it was really warm and clean. And I think I told you before, we had maid service.
Yeah. Tell me about this maid service.
They came in. Well, each room had 2 beds in it. And, of course, they came in each day and made our beds. And they, of course, when our linens, I don't remember how often they changed them, but it was quite often. But they left us clean towels and washcloths.
So Willow Run was really taking good care of you.
Yes, it did.
That is quite a change from the way you were living before, to have someone coming in and changing your sheets.
And we lived real close to the cafeteria, and we had wonderful food there. Eloise told me the lady that run that cafeteria was from Paintsville.
Paintsville,
I
Kentucky.
don't remember actually. I never got to know her,
All right.
but I saw her there. But Eloise said she had a restaurant in Paintsville.
All right. And you said you loved the cafeteria food. What was your
it was
favorite?
all good. Their salads and especially their spaghetti.
So here you are, a young girl working at Willow Run, having a maid service and eating spaghetti every day. Did you put on weight while you were there?
No.
No, you were working too hard.
Well, no. Well, we were young then.
Okay, so your job specifics. Do you remember, did you work the day shifts or the night shifts?
Both.
You worked both.
We worked from 3 in the afternoon to 11 at night, and then when we changed shift, we worked from 11 till 7.
Okay, and you all worked the same shifts?
Yes.
So the 3 of you always were together at that point. All right. What about the job? What was your job at Willow Run? What did you do?
Well, we did riveting there. We worked in the wings. Myrtle and I worked in the wing section.
Okay.
And of course, we took a turnabout doing the riveting and the bucking.
So you were a riveting bucking team. Can you tell me a little bit about, was riveting hard or was not?
No, it wasn't real hard. You just had to. Once you got used to doing it, it was easy.
And what was the purpose of a bucker?
That was to buck the rivets from the back of the wing section. Of course, you did the riveting from the outside section, and the bucking thing was inside that held we put those big pieces in the plane that supported them. Of course, they were all aluminum.
So the bucker offered resistance to the riveting gun, and that allowed not to need washers or bolts or anything because the rivets held the planes together.
Yes, it did.
More aerodynamically important and lighter for the plane. Good.
It was riveted all over, I'm sure.
Yes, everything. I think each plane had like 336,000 rivets on every B-24. So that's a lot of rivets. Now, Eloise did not work on the wings with you.
No,
Yeah.
She must have arrived there about the same time we did.
Yeah.
But she came along.
And she did the, I know from her interview, she did the riveting on the bomb bay door. So that was interesting. Did you need to wear special clothing or any kind of protective gear?
Well, nothing on. We all wore pants.
Pants.
We had to wear pants. And we had to keep our hair covered. That's where we wore the bandanas.
Okay.
To keep you from getting your hair caught in any...
That's for sure. Now, your bandanas weren't all polka dots. You could wear anything you wanted. Today, we have everybody wearing polka dots for fun, but you didn't. And then probably some kind of an apron to have...
I suppose we had a little apron when we were doing the riveting because you had to have something to keep supplying the rivets.
Absolutely. Now, did you have an ID badge?
Yes, I think we did. We had a time clock. We punched a time clock.
Good. Now, how about, do you remember, was the plant cold or hot?
No, they were warm. They was nice and warm.
Nice and comfortable.
They were, just comfortable. They weren't hot or cold.
Was it dirty?
No, very clean.
And how about loud?
Yeah,
Was it loud?
Real loud. We wore earplugs.
But of course, that was you making your own noise, right? There it was. Everybody had earplugs, which also then made it probably hard to talk to your coworkers. But
no, you learned to understand them well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you could understand them.
Good. All right. Now, did you were standing on a scaffolding? Okay, can you tell me anything about that scaffold?
Nothing, only it had an electric thing that, it went up and down. We raised it as we riveted the...
And were you on it alone, or were there other people?
No, there was a crew of about 6 or 7 on each side.
Okay.
We had about that many riveters and that many buckers
good.
On both sides.
So that made it a little easier, more efficient, that you were always riveting at the same level. You didn't have to raise your arms up way high to do it.
No,
They kept you at a good level.
You raised the lift accordingly.
Good. Now, what about your supervisors? Were they nice? Were
Very,
they
very nice, very nice. Everybody was good.
Were the supervisors?
Only thing was everybody tried to get along, and we were just helping out.
Isn't that a good way to remember those war years? Everybody was really, like we've said, a team trying to help get this done. Were the supervisors men or women?
They were mostly men.
Mostly men.
I don't remember women being supervisors.
Okay. Well, that's because they have women doing the job. They're the ones doing it.
Well, we
right?
had men work. We had boys and men working with
Yes.
us on the riveting thing.
Good. I've seen pictures of men on the riveting lines and there were so many different kinds of jobs on the assembly line.
Yes.
There was always something. Do you remember, was the plane in a stationary spot and then they brought these wings to you, or was there a moving assembly line?
It was a moving assembly line. Of course, the wing section was the beginning.
Yes.
So Myrtle and I worked back in the wing section. Eloise was farther down the line.
Right. Okay. Now, what happened to the rivets if you ever put one in crooked or badly done? Did you have to take out your own bad rivets?
No, they had a man on the floor that was real good. He drilled them out and replaced them.
Okay, you have to kind of take the head off of it and then punch it through and redo it, huh?
Yeah, he had a drill that he could drill them out with.
Good. Well, I'm sure that you were too good at the rivets. He probably didn't take any of yours out.
No, I wasn't perfect.
Well, no.
I was like everybody else. I wasn't perfect.
No, not perfect, but I'm sure you did a good job. Do you remember seeing any black women on the line?
No.
Okay, and
I don't remember seeing black people in the...
Okay, there were quite a few black people at Willow Run different times, so
they might have
been some other place
there, but I didn't see them.
How about the little people? The little people from Hollywood worked at Willow Run. Did you ever see any?
No, I didn't see any of them. They had been there and gone earlier. I don't know they must have replaced them or something with other people.
Did you know what they were doing there?
They said they mostly, went into small areas that the big people couldn't get into, but then they found other people evidently, but they didn't. I don't think they stayed too long.
Okay. Now, what about child care? Did you ever hear anyone complaining or needing child care while they were doing their job?
No, the parents that came there that had children, they took care of their own children. They don't. The wives stayed home and the men worked.
All right, and we will be adding a picture of a friend named Veda to your video because she had 2 children.
And her dad and mother was there with her. Her husband was in the service.
Okay, so he was in the service, she was working the line, and mom and dad or grandma and grandpa were taking care of the kids.
They lived out in the village. I don't know how I met Veda, but I did.
Okay, well, and she was from East Lansing, Michigan, you said. Do you remember getting a lunch or a dinner break while you were on your shifts?
Yes, they had lunch wagons that came around that brought food.
And did that lunch wagon have spaghetti for you?
Yes, had good spaghetti.
I love it that you want that spaghetti. All right. How about pay? Were you paid well?
Yes, I think we made $1 an hour.
So that would be about $8 a day a shift.
But we didn't need a lot of money. We saved most of that.
Okay. And were you paid in check or cash or?
No, we were paid in cash.
Paid in cash. Did they just came around and gave you your money, or did you have to go to a window and get it?
No, they had to pay sort of a, let's say, we'll call it a pay wagon or whatever. But they brought our money to us.
Your money was brought right to you, and you just shoved it in your pants pocket or in your apron,
so.
And said, "Everybody, keep your hands out of my pocket. It's loaded with money at this point." All right,
Yeah.
So what did you do with your money? You had to pay for a dorm room because it wasn't free.
It didn't take a lot of money to live because everything was very inexpensive. Then, of course, you didn't make any money to amount to anything, but we were all able to save money out of that $8 an hour.
That's fabulous.
I think I came out with a little over $1,000 in war bonds from my money that I made up there.
See, so not only were you working to support the war, you were investing in the war with the war bonds.
The war bonds.
That's wonderful. And you had to pay for some cafeteria food and your dorm room, but it was doable with all this money you were. It's great.
But we didn't have to pay for transportation or anything. It was all free.
Transportation from the dormitory to the plant. How did they get you there?
The best I remember, we didn't even have to pay if we went into town. They must have had some kind of transportation. I don't remember what it was, but I don't remember paying for it.
Well, that's like universities today will have free shuttles to get kids from dorms to whatever building their classes are.
So that was probably what they had then.
Probably. All right, but otherwise you took a bus from your dorms to the plants, and then they brought you home at night. How about a social life? Did you have a social life? Or were you too busy to have a social life?
Well, we didn't really need much of a social life. We just did normal things. Yeah. We went to a lot of movies.
Good. And saw reels.
Over the weekends.
Sure.
And all. But during you had plenty to keep you busy during the week.
Absolutely. Did you ever go out to eat in Ypsi at some of the restaurants?
Yes, in town we ate every once in a while. We ate dinner in town, on the weekends.
Right. You didn't work on Sundays.
But we had much better food at the cafeteria.
Well, good. I think that's wonderful, especially if this woman really was from Pikeville. That's it. So why did you leave Willow Run if this was a great place to live and a good job to have?
Well, they closed the plant at the end of the war in Europe. They didn't need the planes no more.
So VE Day, May of 1945.
Yeah, so we boarded the bus and came home.
You boarded. Everybody came home at this point. Did Myrtle come home with you?
Oh yes.
Okay, but she stayed behind a little longer, waiting for.
Well, when Eloise and me, when we went to Oak Ridge, she stayed behind. She thought.
Oh, she stayed behind at home a little bit.
Archie was in the war over in Europe, so it was over about 6 months, I suppose, or longer.
Okay. Well,
maybe a year.
So you came home and stayed here for a couple weeks, and then how did you find out about Oak Ridge?
Well, Eloise found out about it. I don't know.
Well, Eloise was from Tennessee, right? No. Eloise was not from Tennessee. Eloise was from
was from Paintsville.
Paintville. So she heard about it, and then what did she do?
Well, she called me in Myrtle, but Myrtle didn't want to go with us at that time. But we weren't doing anything. We were just staying home. So I said, well, might as well, so we'll try this one
So how did you get to Oak Ridge?
by bus.
And what city? Did you go right to Oak Ridge?
No, we went to Knoxville.
Knoxville.
It was just outside of Knoxville.
Okay, and then you got a separate.
They sent us from there.
Well-
They had a shuttle service over to the.
Okay, because this was a secret city,
Yes, it
and
was.
nobody in the country even knew there was anything called.
We
Oak
didn't
Ridge.
even know.
So you just got on an unnamed bus at that point, and they just took you to the end of the line and get off, and there's your new job. Gee, did you have any idea what you were going to do when you got to Oak Ridge?
No.
Okay, so who did you work? Was it called Oak Ridge, or was there something else it was called?
It was called Oak Ridge.
And
There was two companies that ran that place. And we worked for the Tennessee Eastman Company.
Tennessee Eastman Company.
I can't
Okay.
remember the name of the other one.
All right. And were you were you and Eloise in the same departments?
No, we were close together, but we wasn't in the same department.
All right. So what did you do at Oak Ridge? What was your job?
I sat on a stool in front of I don't know if you call it a machine or what, but you had to keep track of the high numbers and low numbers.
Okay.
You recorded them,
So
and you tried to get them up as high as possible.
okay, so you were just watching dials, reading numbers, recording them.
Yes.
Did you know what these dials meant?
Well, we knew we were separating something, but we didn't know what.
Okay, so you didn't know it was uranium.
But we just done what they told us to do.
Absolutely. You didn't have a lot of special training. They just said
You didn't really need it.
you didn't need any. All right. So, like at Willow Run, you had a sense of where you were. You knew you were making wings for a bomber, but at Oak Ridge, you didn't really know what your part was.
No, they usually had, as there was an overpass that went into the plant. You had to go over that overpass to get into the plant, and they always had planes out that you could see the planes.
At Willow Run, you could
Yes.
see the finished product, couldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's exciting. And
One morning we came out from work, and they had a big B-29 parked out there. It looked like a monster compared to our little plane.
well, the B-17 is smaller than the B-24, and the B-24 is smaller than the B-29.
But that 29 was a super thing.
Well, and the Willow Run was made so that it was big enough to take the wings of a B-29 if they had needed
Yes.
to make bigger planes.
I mean, the parking area and all.
Yes, that's great. Did you find that Oak Ridge was clean and comfortable again?
Oh, yes, it was nice and clean. The government took care of it, so they made sure everything was up to par.
Right. Did you need to wear special clothing or anything there?
No.
So
Just our pants and shirts.
pants and shirts again. We didn't want these pretty legs showing, huh? You needed those pants.
No, we got used to wearing pants.
Yeah.
About everybody wore pants then.
Well, the pants are more comfortable anyway. And then did you have an apartment or did you live in a...
No, we lived in dorms.
So you and Eloise were roommates again in a dorm.
Yeah, we lived together in the dorm.
Do you remember how much you were paid at Oak Ridge?
I don't know, but it was less than $1 an hour.
Okay. And again...
Say something like 65 cents more than likely.
All right.
I think that's about what we made in that shell plane in Chillicothe. They said 65 cents an hour.
So that was less than you made at Willow Run, but it
Yes.
was more than enough for what you needed.
But we didn't need a lot of money.
No.
We didn't need, in fact, very little.
Did you talk to anyone about your job?
No, you weren't allowed to talk to nobody about it, not even your roommate.
Nobody knew what you were doing. This was a secret city, and there it
We
is.
just didn't talk about it.
Right. And then they dropped the bomb in 1945, August, I guess, and then you left Oak Ridge.
Yes, we went on the job the day the paper came out, and I know they passed that was the Knoxville paper.
Okay.
But it had the over half of the front page was the bomb that they had dropped on Hiroshima.
Right.
We were all shocked to know what we were doing.
Really? Yeah, I'll bet. And you said somebody brought the newspaper around to all of you while you were walking.
They passed around the newspaper, yes.
Did you buy a copy of it to keep?
No, but I wish I had.
I wish you had too.
I don't know if you could have found a copy of it, though. I don't know if they printed enough that everybody could have had one.
Now, while you were at Oak Ridge, you said that you went out to to the Norris Dam and had a picnic. Tell us about that little outing.
It was a nice day out. They had everything out there. I think I've told you before, we went horseback riding, which I never got on another horse again. and then in the afternoon after we ate, they, of course, I suppose the cafeterias furnished the food because nobody was able to cook. And but anyway, we all went. We didn't go swimming, but we all wore bathing suits and was out in the sun and in the water. We all got sunburnt real bad. And some of the girls that lived close by, their families came and got them. They were so sick with that sunburn.
Oh, too much. Well, that's nice that you had some free time while you were at Oak Ridge.
But we sure got sunburned, I tell you.
Well, you must have, if you can still remember that day that well. The horseback riding and the sunburn goes together.
Yeah, I said that horseback riding made you so sore. I said, you couldn't sit down for about 2 weeks. So I said, I never got on another horse.
Well, see, you learned your lessons. Now, did you like working at Willow Run or Oak Ridge better? Which was more...
Oh, I like working at Willow Run better.
All right. Well, you were there longer, of course, and you knew how things fit in. And you still have a picture on your refrigerator of
Yes,
you and Eloise and Myrtle when you worked at Willow Run. So it must have been a very special time for all of you.
Yeah, Myrtle passed away about 10 years ago, but her daughters still live in Ohio.
Okay.
One lives just outside of Portsmouth, about 30 minutes, and the other one was in Columbus. But Tana and her husband, the oldest one, they live in Florida about half the time now. They're retired.
So everyone has scattered.
We're all retired now.
Everyone's retired and everyone's scattered. Now, what did you do after the war when you left Oak Ridge? Then you came back here again.
Well, I came home. I went to work for Kroger's for a little while, and then I went back to work at the New Way Cleaners for George Thornberry.
There's Mr. Thornsberry again, right?
But I got married during that time.
Yeah, tell us about your husband. What was his name?
His name was William B. Syck, but he was Bill to everybody.
Bill Syck. And when were you married? Like what year?
1947, I think.
Okay.
46.
46.
And Bill he went to work for the power company. So he worked for the power company. And, of course, after I worked for the cleaners for quite a while till I had my first baby. But I wanted to stay home and raise my own kids. So I had Robert in about 3 years. He was born in 1950. And I stayed home until, Grover was in the first year of high school when I started back to work. And Robert was about in the 7th grade.
Okay, so you had two sons, Grover Thomas.
And Robert Paul.
And your husband Bill built your house.
Yes, him and friends.
Yeah, and you still live in that same house.
Yeah, we've added on to it. We thought one day we'd build another house, but we didn't have enough money and we didn't want to go in debt.
Well, it's a beautiful house. There was no reason to move on.
Well, I've got a beautiful picture. If I find it, I may mail it to you.
Okay.
In the springtime, with all the dogwoods and flowers and everything in bloom.
Right.
I may send you a copy that I don't know just where it is.
Okay. We can add that into this video. It would be nice. Now, have you ever gone back to Willow Run and Ypsilanti?
No, never.
Never did?
Oh, no, wait just a minute. After Eloise and Richard was married, they already had their little girls. We visited them and they visited us here.
Good. So you stayed in
I
touch.
gave you some pictures of the.
Good. We'll put those in too. You stayed in touch
Yeah,
with
we
both
went
of them.
there that one time, but it was just for a weekend. Myrtle and her girls went with us. Our kids were real small. You had pictures of them at that time. And, but Archie was working. He couldn't go, so Myrtle went with us. We stopped by and picked her up in Ohio. Nice. And we went up and spent a weekend with Eloise and her family.
I like the thought of the three of you together. Now, what are your strongest memories of the war years? If you were having to say what it was like living in the 1940s, do you have an overall thought of those years?
No, I said we had a good growing up. We had a loving family. And I said we knew everybody up and down the valley. We were all friends. It was pleasant.
Did you lose a lot of friends in the war?
No. I can only remember about 3.
Good. So everyone made it home. Mostly.
I knew one of the boys that became a pilot that flew over there, over Germany. But they told me, of course, they told me after World War II. I think his family moved to Ashland during the war, and he never came back to Pikeville. I don't think this one boy but I think he got married during the war. I don't know where he met his wife, but anyway, he got killed. They told me he was killed in one of these small planes.
Oh.
He was flying too low and hit the trees or something,
Well, I'm glad you didn't lose.
But he was killed after he come back home.
All right. Well,
after going through the war.
Isn't that terrible? That's so ironic when that happens. Did your children and your grandchildren, did they always know you were a Rosie the Riveter, or is that something new?
No, it's probably going to be new to them because we never talked about it, to tell you the truth. It was just part of the war years.
Part of the war years, doing what you had to do. As you said, you just did it.
My kid knows very little about it.
Okay, well.
But Grover did tell me, though, in his work, he's a computer technician, that he worked around all over. He was sent different places, And, but he may have found it on TV, too. He's still a computer nut. Even though I think he's 72 now.
All right.
And but he still loves his computer. But he told me though that he had seen where they were doing this museum up there though. After you talked to him.
Good.
And it maybe had been there. They're trying to get it off the ground or something. I don't know, something. He told me something about it. He already knew about it, but I'm sure he's seen it on TV.
Well,
on computer.
Are you surprised at all this attention the Rosies are getting?
No, not really.
No, because you're important people. There it is. That's what's important. Have you ever been to Washington, D.C. and the World War II monuments?
Yes, I have. Yes. Bill and I, we traveled with some tour people there after I retired. And we made several trips. We toured Washington, D.C. one weekend. And we saw everything, I guess, there was to see.
That's great. I love Washington, D.C., and it's good that you can see the World War II.
We stayed in an old, I want to tell you, we stayed in an old motel that I'm sure had been there for many, many years, and probably that's where everybody stayed, the original people. But it was real old, but it had been well kept. It was nice. But we were right next door to the White House. We walked from there over to the White House the day we went to see it.
I wonder if it was the Willard Hotel.
I don't remember the name of it.
Well, the Willard Hotel is a very, very historic, famous hotel there.
It was a historic.
Well, then I'll bet you were at the Willard.
Our tour people got us in there. I'm sure if we would have gone on our own, we wouldn't have been able to go there.
I'll bet you were at the Willard. That's kind of fun to know that.
But there was a busload of us there.
All right. Now, and then
it was sort of down at the end of Pennsylvania Avenue from the White House. But we were just straight across from the White House.
And of your sons, Robert he served in the Vietnam War. He was in Thailand?
Yes.
Okay. And Grover did not go into the service?
No.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to add to this interview before we close? Anything you want to say?
After I worked in the cleaners, I want you to add this.
Okay.
after my children got older, Grover was in first year high school when I went back to work. But I worked for the Doll Hair Corporation for 15 years. They were a real nice store here. That business originated over in Neon Whitesburg area, but Pikeville was one of their main stores. But they sold real good clothing and all. And what else did I want to?
A jewelry store.
I worked there. I had their shoe department for 15 years, which was a real experience because everybody shopped at Doll Hairs then.
Okay.
They come all around, but they put in several stores. But the whole family, there was 7 boys and 2 girls at that Doll Hair. Their father was a pack peddler originally.
Really?
And he started his business over in the Whitesburg and the Neon area. But the children grew up there, and as they grew up, they expanded. But anyway, they were a good bunch of people to work for. I think they had maybe 3 stores in Lexington.
Okay.
But
so you've been busy your whole life, doing things, working in between jobs,
we needed the money. The kids were growing up.
And then didn't you do something with the jewelry store, I thought you said?
Well, after Robert came back from that was the Vietnam service, he was in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
But he had an opportunity to buy Pollock's jewelry. It was just a little jewelry store next to the courthouse. But we bought that store. Bill and I had to secure it with our property, so I went in business with him. That was about 1972 or 3, somewhere along there. But we were in that store for 17 years.
Mm.
I closed it in 1993.
And that was the last of your official jobs.
Well, I was 70 years old.
So now your official job is to remember good things about World War II for our veterans' history.
After Bill was already retired, Bill died when he was 85.
Okay.
But anyway, we traveled for quite a while. We had a lot of good traveling experience.
Well, it sounds like you've had a good life too.
I have. I've had a wonderful life.
Good. Well, Georgia, thank you for sharing your interesting story with us. Thank you for giving your strength and patriotic energy to America in the 1940s and for doing your part to help win the war. You have made a difference in this world, and you are truly a heroine. The tribute Rosies from the Yankee Air Museum at the historic Willow Run B-24 bomber plant are honored to send your story to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. as part of the Veterans History Project. Thank you.
Well, thank you.